Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Well, it's been a little while since I covered sexism on the channel, so I figure we might as well get the misogynistic accusations thrown out again as soon as possible. So that's what we'll be doing tonight. From the BBC News, coronavirus, government withdraws sexist stay-home advert. So you can see it there with its stay home, save lives, the new COVID-19 variant is spreading fast. And they've got 4 detached homes. So to begin with, it's unrealistic. But there we see. The first is all of the family together on a sofa. All of the family is in one child. But of course, you got to have the multiracial diversity here. Then we have in another house a female, we believe, with a child. Next is a mother teaching their 2 children, and finally is a mother showing her daughter how to take care of the house. Now, of course, first things first, if you wish to play the left's games, is why on earth are you presuming genders? Why can these people not all be gender non-binary? And why would you say, for example, in the last one, that it is a mother and daughter when it could just be 2 non-binary chaps, or maybe 2 transsexuals who were born male and are now expressing their female characteristics, and there's just a height difference between them. That it could very well be that. But the government has withdrawn that instead of pinning its colours to the mast and trying to suggest that they're playing the leftist game and saying, you shouldn't be assuming genders like this. They're gender non-conforming. They've instead said, oh yeah, that's our mistake. We apologise, because the one time that we've shown a man is with him sitting on a sofa with his family. So, let's go to statistics first of all. From CareerSmart, who take their numbers from Working Futures 2020, and they break down the occupations on gender or sex, who cares, they're the same thing, for males and females. And the reason that I will focus on this is because you have to work from home if you can. But if you can't work from home, then of course you have to go to work. So with the images depicted, then who is more likely to be at home compared to being at work? This isn't just generally, which is which side of the population is more likely to be employed. And as we know, that statistically speaking, men are more likely to be makers, women are more likely to be takers from an economical standpoint. So let's just go to who's more likely to be furloughed. Well, we'll start off with the top occupations for men. Kicking it off with vehicle technicians, mechanics and electricians, with men dominating at 99.19% of the workforce. Can they do their job from home? No. Next, carpenters and joiners. Can they work from home? No, otherwise they'll have to be shipping it off, and that's not their job. They're the carpenter and joiner. So it's either when somebody's home or it's in the warehouse where the material is. So no. Next, welding trades. Again, are they going to be having the metal delivered to them and just doing it within their little terraced house, just welding? No, of course not. That's going to be on site. Right, next, electricians and electrical fitters. Well, if you're fitting something, you have to be on site. You can't work from home. Metalworking production and maintenance fitters. Again, fitting, got to be on site. Number 6, plumbers and heating and ventilating engineers. Can you do that from home? No, because you're fitting it in. Number 7, mobile machine drivers and operatives. Can you drive from home? Well, kind of in terms of you can drive somewhere from your house, but no, you can't do driving when you're at home. You can't do deliveries. Which is followed by number 8, large goods vehicle drivers. Same again. Next, forklift truck drivers. Definitely can't do that from home, unless you're going autonomous, in which case you don't need somebody operating it at all. Next is elementary construction occupations. Can you construct from home? No. You can be the architect and draw up designs, sure, but you can't do the labour from home. Next, floorers and wall tilers, again on site. Glazers, window fabricators and fitters, on site. Electrical and electronics technicians, on site. Construction and building trades, on site. Electrical and electronic trades, maybe some of them can work from home. But again, most of the materials are going to be on site. And we see that again and again. The first one would be taxi and cab drivers and chauffeurs, that maybe you wouldn't need so many in the workforce because not so many people are out and about. In which case, maybe, same as train and tram drivers, if that's reduced. But even when it comes to number 20, telecommunications, it's engineers again. So again, on-site. Whereas if we scroll down to the other side of things, which is where they're female-dominated, and coming in at number one for the most female-dominated occupation at 97.76%, is nursery nurses and assistants. Are schools in? No. So are they at home? Yes. Legal secretaries, can you work remotely? Yes. Medical secretaries, work from home. Yes. Personal assistants and other secretaries, working from home. Yes. Childminders and related occupations, are they needed because people are at home? No. So would they be at home? Yes. School secretaries, again, working remotely from home. Teaching assistants, are schools in? No. Or are they online? Yes. Does that mean working from home? Yes, it does. Housekeepers and related occupations. In that case, yeah, you would have to go out to the other homes if they still wanted your services when they're at home. Receptionists, are businesses open? No. Dancers and choreographers, are venues open? No. Therapy professionals, can you do that online? Yes. Pharmacy and other dispensing assistants, that's one that would have to be on site because it's a customer-facing role. In which case, yes, fair enough, and pharmacies would be open. Okay. Educational support assistants, working from home, yes. School, midday and crossing patrol occupations, well, are schools in? No. So is their work needed? No. So are they at home? Yes. Psychologists, online? Yes. Primary and nursery education teaching professionals, again, online. Travel agents, online. Pharmaceutical technicians, most likely on site, fair enough. They would need to be in. Podiatrists, as in working with feet, they would need to see people face to face. Is it essential? Are they allowed to? No. So again, working from home. So you can see why the male-dominated professions are essentially the things that keep the world running, that they are needed from a manual labour perspective as integral to society in order for it to function, whereas the female-dominated professions tend to be more tertiary and aren't a necessity to keep civilization going. By all means, they're very much desired and appreciated, but they aren't a necessity for the society to continue. In which case, when we get back to this photo, if we presume that we can assume the genders, that's actually going to be quite accurate. The only inaccurate part is that the man actually gets time at home with his family and that his wife is still with him and hasn't gone with the children. Seeing as most marriages end in divorce. And we all know the tactics divorce lawyers like to use in order to take the children. That's not quite first marriages, but it is still the majority of marriages end in divorce. So, well, what's the pushback? Well, now that we've gone through how it is accurate, let us see how people just conflate things and don't understand the real world and just get on their high horse and annoyed about everything. So the image showed women homeschooling children and doing domestic chores while the only man featured was depicted relaxing on a sofa. Yes, the BBC is assuming genders. We can both play these games. Fuck off. The infographic was withdrawn after going viral on social media and facing criticism for being, quote-unquote, sexist. Yes, it can't be sexist, it's showing a man relaxing. That's not allowed. That's not the reason. The government said the ad did not reflect its view on women. Now, of course it didn't reflect its view on women. You see, the government's view on women is that you're just another cog in the machine, and that you have to work, and that family doesn't actually matter. And as long as you're, working towards the holy grail of the great GDP, then you're needed. But if you actually wish to do something that is meaningful in your life, and do things that make you happy, and live with a purpose, you're not needed, because then you're not providing to the holy grail of the GDP. So of course that doesn't reflect his view on women, because they're suggesting that you can actually be happy. And that work will not set you free. I know, it's unbelievable to think that they would disagree with a slogan used on Nazi concentration camps. But quite literally, that is the government's message, that work will set you free. I think we know that it doesn't, especially not in that context. By all means, having money is good, but money isn't the be-all and end-all, and that's the thing also that pisses me off most about the gender pay gap. Not only is it, of course, just a bullshit statement first off, because it's just taking averages and not caring about the individuals, which is most important, but also that they seem to be suggesting that somebody's value should be based entirely on their wealth. And bear in mind, individuals don't really care about the GDP. Really don't. Sure, it does have knock-on effects, but more important is your individual fulfillment, and then at a push, it is towards your community. Other than that, on a national level, the GDP doesn't really make a lot of difference. And you can see that with people like Johan Hari, when he goes out to sub-Saharan Africa and talks about antidepressants, and their idea of an antidepressant is not a pill, but it's a cow, because it's something that you can take care of, and you get milk from, and food. And that's the idea of an antidepressant. So it's a very different take, and of course, they're quite happy with that arrangement. They've got a better understanding of human emotions when it comes down to it. Because, again, they're a tight-knit community, and that is what matters more. And that is why the film Office Space was such a hit, when so many people were in cubicles. And Blackpilled does a good breakdown on that movie, if you're interested. So, of course, we're going to see more women at home, because revealed preferences show that women prefer people than things, and men prefer things than people. Yes, men care more about their reputation, women care more about having a fulfilled life, which tends to come from people and families, which is also shown in the professions that they choose, when there's an equal society, shown most in Scandinavian countries. But of course, we've got Lorraine Candy, former editor of Sunday Times Style magazine, which is an essential job, sorry, who reported on the Advert, along with Glamour magazine, said, "Are there no intelligent, smart women advising the government about this? I'm perplexed by the lack of awareness." Maybe there are, and they disagree with you. Oh, but then they can't be true women, and they're just a traitor to their sex. Which I find is always the beautiful part about it. That they seem to think that if they know your genitals, or your skin colour, or the genitals that you prefer to enjoy, then they know all your other opinions as well. Because they really don't care about the individual. And therefore, it just goes whoosh, way over their head. And if you want to look at the worst examples of misogyny, then of course look at it coming from the left, where all they care about is your sexual identity or skin colour identity. And it's identity politics all the way down. And I don't think, oh, somebody might have a different opinion on me because they're aware of different facts from me. Maybe I could sit down, talk to them, and listen to them. No, of course they don't think that. They just think, oh my god, you don't think the same as me, therefore you're evil. Moving on, parenting blogger Anna Whitehouse said, "Showing a man lounging about while women and girls do it all may bear some truth, but it can't be the blueprint from the top. How did this get signed off in 2021? Yes, oh my god, it's showing that the women are there, having a house to stay in, and not doing the jobs in order to pay for the home that they're living in. And instead the partner who isn't there is earning the money and providing for their partners. Because again, it plays to the strength of the sexes. Better for the man to be earning externally and for the women to be earning internally. So, how could this be signed off in 2021? So, because it's a revealed preference of what the different sexes enjoy and what works best for them. Yeah. So, of course it bears truth. So why can't it be the blueprint from the top? Maybe we don't buy into your narrative, Miss Whitehouse. Very fitting surname, isn't it? So for Labour, Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Bridget Phillipson, said the Advert put women back in their place, adding, "How out of touch can this government get?" Well, again, as we've just seen from the statistical breakdown of occupations by sex, it's accurate. Conservative former Minister Caroline Noakes, chair of the Women and Equalities Committee, yes, it's so equal that it only includes women. Yes, so is it equality amongst women? No, it's equality amongst the sexes, but it just involves bringing women up at the expense of men. Oh, right, so equal. Also criticised the image, tweeting, "Someone signed this off." Yeah, someone who maybe doesn't have their head in the sand or just stuck in an echo chamber, for fuck's sake, Caroline. Maybe you thought about something from somebody else's point of view. You might get further in life. But I guess you'll just remain a former minister of a useless association. The Prime Minister's spokesman said, "We have provided information for the public throughout the pandemic. The Advert does not reflect our view on women, and we have removed it." Yes, because, again, they just want you to be another cog in the machine, not actually achieving enlightenment, to use the British turn of phrase. The Advertising Standards Authority stipulates the campaigns must not include gender stereotypes that are likely to cause harm or serious or widespread offence. Well, it's not really going to be widespread. It's just going to be the vocal minority who have nothing better to do because they don't really understand what work is. And that is their job, instead of having it as a hobby in their free time, like you and I. And that's the difference there. But I don't think it's really causing widespread offence, in which case there's not an issue. But vocal minority, virtue signalling in the woke brigade, therefore it's got to be cancelled. Among scenarios it deems likely to be unacceptable is one that depicts a man with his feet up and family members creating mess around a home, while a woman is solely responsible for cleaning up the mess. Yes, I agree that the man should be the encouraging disciplinarian, to use Peterson's turn of phrase, and should stop that from happening, at least if he was there in the first place, or reprimanded the children and showed them a better way to do things, if he was there. Most certainly. That's not quite what you mean, though, is it? No. It's because, again, the man is paying for things, and the woman is making ends meet her way, in terms of providing on an internal level instead of an external level. You gotta read into these things, because at face value, they can make sense. But of course, then you understand the reasoning behind it, which is then what matters when it's applied in principle, and again, you're disappointed. Another is an ad that belittles a man for carrying out stereotypically female roles or tasks. Okay, let's pretend that one is actually enforced, as we know it isn't. But in that case, the home activities, the chores, if you will, are stereotypically female. Whether they like it or not, and obviously they don't, they do admit that they're stereotypically female, in which case you can't show a man doing that. And if you're trying to show people being at home doing things, what can you show? Well, then you've got to show a female carrying out stereotypically female roles or tasks. Of course, you can get hung up on the belittles then, but they don't care about it anyway. They really don't. Finally, a report last November by the Forces Society, a charity campaigning for equal rights, and we know what that means, female supremacy, or at least empowerment, found the pandemic was having a devastating effect on gender equality in the workplace, with women more likely than men to lose their jobs or be left dealing with childcare. And why is that? Well, if we go back to the Career Smart site here, and we scroll through their jobs, then we can see why. Even just here, farmers, undertakers, conservation and environmental associate professionals, okay, they could go from home. But most of these, which are male-dominated, can't be done from home. Electrical engineers, metal machining setters and setter operators, mechanical engineers, IT engineers could be, precision instrument makers and repairers, electronics engineers, production managers and directors in mining and energy. Maybe the managing could be. Not really if you want the best from your workforce, but okay. Van drivers, hospital porters, bus and coach drivers, refuse and salvage occupations cannot be done from home. None of these can be done from home. So of course it's going to have a biggest impact on the women. And of course, when things get down to it, that you're going to have to keep the necessities and not the ones that are desired. Of course, ideally, we'd like the government to get out of it entirely, and then the market can decide what is essential and not. But if we're going down Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then the ones at the bottom are going to gain precedence over the ones at the top. It's just human nature. But that's it from me. So, as always, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that it was right to go with this first off? And you can kind of tell that it's just a vocal minority echo chamber, considering that none of these portrayed are native Brits or indigenous British, as we can tell by them all being at least reasonably tanned, and there weren't any complaints about the lack of white people being shown. In which case, we know it isn't widespread offence, and it's just a vocal minority. Or if you think, no. Of course, there might be innate gender differences between people, but you can't use groups in order to identify the individual, in which case, you've got to have a more equal footing if you choose to do something like this, but it's better off left alone in order to enable people to choose what is most important and meaningful for themselves without trying to push them down a given path. Either way, let me know down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say, and as always, until next time, have a good one.